Can we do that one more time? John Wallace is right over there. He can hear you. How you doing today? All right. Welcome to the 60 Days of Summer here at the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. I am Kyle Belanger. I teach sports broadcasting up at Springfield College, where they invented basketball. Hey, all right. My guest today is a Syracuse legend where they have perfected basketball. I can say that, I'm an alumni. So, it's the 60 Days of Summer, 60 consecutive days of family-friendly entertainment right here in the Dome at the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Some days, the 60 Days of Summer, include clinics by the UMass basketball team. Other days, you come here, right in this place at 1 p.m., and you can get a great show, a magic show, a dribbling exhibition. Other days, you get to meet Hall of Famers. And then there are days like today when you can get to meet great icons and legends in our incredible game of basketball. The format goes like this. For the next 25 minutes, I get to hog all the fun. It's John Wallace and me, one-on-one, a really fun interview. I can't wait for you to hear his remarkable story. After that, some of you will get the chance to ask John Wallace a question. So if you're looking at me and thinking, I want his job, you can have my job for a second. We're going to select a small handful of you to ask those questions. And after that, I'll give you, I see some hands going up. You can keep them down now. I'll give you some warning, and you can raise your hand, and some of my friends at the Hoop Hall staff will put you in line when the time is right. And after that, the fun continues, because John Wallace will go to that table right over there and sign an autograph for each and every one of you. How's that for a plan? Pretty good, right? I think so. So, let's get to today. John Wallace wore the coveted number 44 for the Syracuse Orange. Yeah, yes, I'll pause for Syracuse applause, absolutely. They won't excuse my student loans, but I'll pause. He went to the NCAA Finals for the 1996 Cuse is in the House team. Was a first-round pick, 18th overall by the Knicks in '96. He played 7 seasons in the NBA with the Knicks, the Raptors, Pistons, Suns, and Heat. And he is our new friend. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for number 44, John Wallace.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks so much. And I saw a cute orange, real dads wear orange shirt. Always good to see fellow Syracuse people, man.
Welcome back to Springfield.
Appreciate you, man. It's an awesome place. Jason took me around a little bit, saw some of the renovations, some of the things that are to come. And the place is going to be even more magnificent in the next year or so, so I'm looking forward to that also.
Well, we appreciate that a ton, John, and we appreciate you being here today. And so I like to just start at the beginning. And I mentioned over there, you and I combined to go to the finals in '96. You had a slightly more impactful role.
Yeah, but you were cheering harder than me.
I really was.
We all played our role.
You're a good man. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, because your story is about as central New York as you can get, right? Born and raised in Rochester, go to play at Syracuse, the height of the Big East, get drafted by the Knicks. You're a New York guy through and through. But I'm wondering, because Rochester is a very unique city, and I love it there, especially now that Dinosaur Barbecue's been there for so long. That's a free plug, I guess. I probably shouldn't do that. When do you have the earliest memories of loving basketball?
Honestly, my first memories of falling in love with the game is not only from going to my very first basketball camp, which Mr. Doug Childs paid for me to go to, but it was actually losing there. Because I was losing to kids I was bigger than, because I was already kind of a big kid. Yeah. But I wasn't good, and I was uncoordinated, so guys who shouldn't be beating me in terms of just from perception, the eye test, but I was losing, so that drove me crazy. So I started literally practicing and working on my game 10 hours every single day. That's what got me over the hump. That's what changed my life. You know, it was 10 hours every single day. No matter what happened, I got in at least 10 hours of basketball every day, and then, the guys who used to beat me easily, I started beating eventually. So.
May I ask, how old were you when that happened? Was this later than most guys?
13, 14.
Wow. So this is later than most guys who make it to the league.
Yeah, because I wouldn't, coming up, I played football and I was a boxer. So when I did lose basketball games, I was ready to fight.
Yeah.
I picked up basketball at 13, and I think that's what made me fall in love with it also, because I was so new to it.
Yeah.
So I had to really learn everything. But the one good thing, like my coach told me, my first coach, Mr. Mills, I didn't have any bad habits to break.
Okay.
Starting that late. So I was taught the game the right way the first time, and my work ethic ended up carrying me over to the top.
I think that's really inspiring for a lot of these youngsters out here who maybe haven't started playing formally yet. It's never too late to start playing the right way. So at 13, to go from 13 years old starting to play, and as you said, having a long way to go, to being 17 and having Coach Boeheim sitting in your living room, there's a lot of territory to cover there. Talk to me about your recruitment process. In the pre-social media days, in the pre-Twitter days, when nerds like me used to have to wait for magazines to come out.
Street and Smith,
that's what I'm saying. I still have all my old stacks. I'm like, here, kids, this is a magazine. Let's talk about this. What was your recruitment like, and what did Coach Boeheim have to say to get you to stay in the 315?
Well, first of all, the Street and Smith magazine was the first time I saw my name ranked anywhere when I was a sophomore in high school.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that, and it was like, oh my God, I got to work even harder, right?
Wow.
But now, I got a letter from Coach Boeheim, and I remember the day I got that letter. I remember exactly where I was standing, and I remember my coach, Don Brown, saying to me, you might want to sit down for this. And when he showed me that letter, I never thought really that I was going to go anywhere else but Syracuse. I was waiting on that letter. I always wanted, because Billy Owens and Derek Coleman were the guys I was trying to emulate in high school. So they were every game was must-watch TV for them. But then to have Coach Boeheim show some interest in me, man, but, they send out letters to 20, 30, 40 guys, but they only offer actual scholarships about, 5 or 6 guys. So to receive a letter was one thing. But you remember when I was telling you about the 10 hours of work?
Yeah.
Well, that was before the whole Outliers came out, I got in my 10,000 hours of work.
Yeah.
So I went from being this novice 13-year-old basketball player to at age 17, I was a McDonald's All-American, one of the best players in the country. And it was literally just from work. And I grew 6 inches in one summer, and I grew another 2 inches after that. So I guess the 8 inches helped also. But, the work ethic definitely was always there. And I made sure that no one outworked me. I was up 3, 4 in the morning most nights playing basketball by myself.
And I gotta say, we'll get to the Cuse years in a minute, but that's really what defines Syracuse basketball, is you're not gonna outwork a Syracuse basketball team. So not only do you get the offer and the scholarship, but you also get the number 44.
Oh.
And you're wearing it on your back right now, and I must say, as a Syracuse alum, I see that on John Wallace sitting next to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here today. So talk to me about the moment, because it's still very special to you. For the people out here who don't understand how important that number is on your back right now, can you talk about that and the moment that you learned you would also be a 44?
Well, first of all, the number is special because Jim Brown started the whole legacy of wearing number 44 at Syracuse. And the reason why he chose the number 44 is because when he went to school, 44 people had to donate for him to go there. So that was a special number for him. And I'm the last player to wear the basketball jersey 44 at Syracuse. And this season, once the schedule comes out, myself and Mr. Wildhack, we're going to sit down and pick a game. My jersey will be retired this year, going up in the rafters. So it's a very special day. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more in my basketball life than to be joining the rafters of the pantheon of greats, Syracuse greats.
This is no joke. I will find out when that is. I will circle it. I will have my boys there to watch John Wallace's jersey.
Come up, man. I'm going to have a party and everything, so it's going to be fun.
I will be there. Then, of course, this team of yours goes on this remarkable 4-year run, you know, and it's at the height of a lot of Big East talent. And I see all the young basketball fans here, and I just wish that they could see for a moment the Big East.
Do you remember that? Like that season was Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Kerry Kittles.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the Dome. Woo. Yeah. So that season, before you all make it to the Final Four, and UMass fans, you remember that Final Four too, right? It's UMass, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and our Syracuse, I'm making the statement for all of us, our Syracuse Orangemen. When do you and JB and Todd Bergen and Lazarus, when do you guys all, and Otis Hill, when do you realize that that's a special season as the journey's happening? At what point do you realize that, yo, we could do this thing?
I remember making everyone come to my house every Sunday, starting in that August before, and telling them and explaining to them that, you know, this is going to be a special year for us. But we got to buy in now. We got to really, really hold each other accountable, because that's good teams. Everyone holds each other accountable. It's not about who gets more shots or who. It's like, are you going to be accountable for your job that the team is expecting from you?
Right.
And if you can do that as a team and do it collectively on more nights than not, then you can have a very successful year. And that's why we were able to beat a lot of teams that had more talent than us that year. And it started in August. You know, that's when it really started. And, you know, I firmly believe the whole year we had the most cohesive unit on and off the court. And we just ran into a college juggernaut of a team that had eight NBA guys on it. And, you know, then that draft, you know, it's the greatest draft ever.
Yeah.
I know we argue all the time about the draft, right? Like, who's got the greatest draft?
96 going away, man.
It's 96 by far, and everyone's like 84 because of Jordan and Olajuwon, and I'm like, Jordan's awesome. Obviously, he's the greatest. He won 6, Olajuwon won 2, so that's 8, but Kobe Bryant and Derek Fisher got 5 apiece. That's 10 right there. The conversation's over, baby.
It is.
You shut it down.
And let's not forget about AI and Steve
we
Nash.
don't even got to bring that up.
And that's right.
We don't bring in our secret artillery until you need it. You leave it in the back, man. You don't tell everyone. You don't bring it all out.
This is why I would not have been good on that. This is why Marius Janulis had that role, because all I can do is long range stuff, and Marius could shoot.
Marius.
Wondering if you could reflect a little bit on a member of that team that everyone knows now. He was a freshman point guard that only played 1 year of basketball. And I was watching the Al McGuire Cuses in the House video again last night, and my favorite, just YouTube it, Cuses in the House. You'll see Al McGuire, the great Al McGuire, dancing like he had never danced before. And and right over Al McGuire's shoulder is a freshman point guard by the name of Donovan McNabb.
Yep.
Like Donovan McNabb. And he's doing the Donovan McNabb chirping at 18 years old over Al McGuire's shoulder. Can you talk about Donovan McNabb as, he was already the starting quarterback on the team. He had just beat out Kevin Johnson. Talk to me about what young Donovan McNabb was like on the basketball court, if you don't mind.
He was shockingly, because, you know, just from his body type, you wouldn't be able to tell that. But he was shockingly an incredible athlete, like very athletic.
Yeah.
Like a 40-inch vertical, which was shocking because he can dunk very easily. He didn't look like he should be able to do that. But he was always in a great mood. Like Donovan always had that jolly old smile and, let's have a great practice today, guys. Let's get it in. And, and we needed that some days. Some days you just don't have it, but Donovan was able to always kind of rally the troops. I'm sure that's why he was a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Because that's what quarterbacks do. They kind of lead guys, and he was our leader in terms of make sure we put forth the proper amount of effort and practice, and at the same time keeping it fun and loose, and he was very jovial. So all those things played a big part in our on-court and off-court demeanor in terms of our whole team.
Yeah. He was always on campus, too. That was something that really blew me away. He could have not, and he was always on campus. Talk to me, so you alluded to the draft, and we talked about, some of the guys, right? The AIs, Ray Allen, Camby, Kobe, Nash, John Wallace. I mean, it was Peja was in that draft. Give me a sense of your draft night experience. Number 18 to the New York Knicks.
Well, first of all, I was slightly upset because I thought I should have went higher, but then I go to New York and I'm like, all right.
Yeah, right?
That's incredible. But then the caveat in the whole thing was my agent, working behind the scenes at the time, had already struck a deal with Karl Kanai. So the money I lost in the draft, I made up for it with my sneaker deal because I got like a $750,000 contract.
Yeah.
So only Allen Iverson had a better sneaker deal than me rookie year.
Yeah.
So, it definitely, helped ease the pain of, if you want to call sliding to the Knicks, because, but I went in with the right attitude, and, Coach Van Gundy was such a great coach, and an integral part in my NBA career, and the guys I played with who were consummate pros who just put me up under their wing and showed me the right way, not just about basketball, but about life off the court. And that's why I'm so close to those guys to today, and working for the Knicks and the NBA to this day because of those guys.
Now, I want to talk about some of those guys because I think about a young John Wallace walking into a New York guy.
Man, I had to be humbled.
Right? MSG, it's Oakley, it's Ewing, it's Starks, it's Allen Houston, it's Larry Johnson, and young John Wallace. How long did it take for you to feel comfortable?
Well, I was comfortable the very first time we played pickup because I was playing very well.
Yeah.
But then that comfortability quickly left after my very first practice. This is a story I love to tell because all the young kids out there, like the best thing you can do in your life, and if you want to be an athlete, is to be in shape. There's nothing more important than being in shape. Now, me being at the time 22, full of youthful exuberance and stupidity at the same time, I'm like, I don't need to be I'm in great shape. I'm 22.
Yeah.
Those guys are 30. How are they going to keep up with me, right? Well, they had a trick for me, and I don't know if some of you know the 3-on-2, 2-on-1 continuous drill. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't get a break. Every time I came to the side, one of the veterans would be like, you get me. So I went like 30 consecutive trips.
Yo.
And yeah, I was starting to feel it, and I'll never forget. I threw a bounce pass, and I was at the trash can right after that. And as I'm feeling like so weak at my very first NBA practice, Van Gundy's like right there, looking at me. The last drop of throw up hits the trash can. He's like, "Get your butt back in line, rookie. Let's go. Nice. No time to wash your mouth out or anything." And I never forget. I went back home that night, and it was like a long walk. Larry Johnson had to actually help me walk. I was so tired.
Wow.
We did 5.5 hours of practice twice. So we did 11 hours of practice. I went back home. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't shower, and I didn't eat. I was that tired. I went right to sleep. Yeah. Woke up at about 5 that morning and had a long conversation with myself because, like I was just telling you, I'm a at least 10,000 hour guy. So I can't just quit and give up, so I had a long talk with myself in the mirror about all those hours and days I put in on the courts and all the people that's dependent on me, and I just can't quit and give up. And I went out and I showed my true mettle that next day in practice, and 3 or 4 weeks later, Coach Van Gundy pulled me inside and told me that second day of practice is what earned me playing time because everyone's interested to see how I was going to respond because I really looked very weak and feeble that very first day, and I would like to say I responded in a way that got me the respect that I needed.
That is a remarkable story. Now here's the part I was telling you about. I only have 3 questions left for John Wallace. So after this question, I'm going to ask for a handful of volunteers who would love to ask John Wallace a question. So start thinking about it. What have I forgotten to say that you want to ask? And then we'll get you to volunteer after this question. 1 year later, Knicks fans, and John Wallace probably, can't believe it when you're part of a 3-team trade that sends you to Toronto. You mentioned you're 22 and you work so hard to get in the rotation for the Knicks, and that year goes really well. How does John Wallace, how does he learn about the trade, and how does he respond to that news?
I knew I was going to get traded that summer. I played very well in the summer league. Kobe and myself, we led the summer league in scoring that year, like 32 points a game. I never forget, as I was leaving summer league in LA that year, Isaiah Thomas coming up to me saying, "I'm coming to get you." And that's what happened. I ended up going to Toronto. He was he was the general manager at that time for Toronto. So I knew that it was inevitable.
Right.
He told me he was coming to get me. The Knicks they were trying to make a run, and they need more of a rebounding type guy. So that's why they were trying to make the move for Chris Dudley at the time.
Yep.
And I like to think that every team got, what they needed or wanted from the deal.
Yeah.
It stuck to leave New York.
Yeah.
Going to Toronto was tough, especially that first year, because it was like the worst run organization at the time.
Yeah.
Because we were practicing in like these now defunct type places. Like it was like obsolete, the places we were practicing in. I mean, it just wasn't fit for an NBA team, especially coming from such a first-class organization like the Knicks.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It was a hard pill to swallow. But, I had some good time. One of my teammates from Toronto is in this Hall of Fame, Tracy McGrady.
Tracy's right in that area, over there.
And I'm sure Vince Carter will be joining him at some point when he actually retires. He's going to 22 years. So I had some good times up in Toronto, great teammates. But I knew the trade was coming because Isaiah Thomas told me he was going to do everything in his power to come get me. Obviously, Kobe and I doing what we did that summer.
Yeah.
It was like bittersweet. I was happy I played good, but I was mad I was leaving New York because I was starting to come into my own, I felt like, and it was really because of Coach Van Gundy. All summer, he would show up at random times, like, he'd make sure you were always in shape. So he'd call you, and this is before everyone had cell phones, so he'd page you or call your house phone and be like, "Yeah, John, I'm in town," because we're both from Rochester. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just hanging out in Rochester. I'm actually up at St. John Fisher College waiting on you. I'm expecting to see you in a half hour."
Oh, my God.
And you can't tell Coach Van Gundy no. Right. So I'm like, "All right, I'll see you in a half hour." And but it kept me on my toes all summer. I was always ready for that call. After the first time, I wasn't ready, honestly. Sure. One time he called me late, and I was already kind of hanging out with my boys and not in the mood. And he was just like, "Yeah, I'll see you in a half hour." I was like, "Really?" All right, I guess so.
Guys, I gotta go.
Yeah, I mean that's where my bread's butter. When organization is giving you checks and doing the things that they're doing, you gotta uphold your end of the bargain.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a question for John Wallace? Put your hands in the air right now, and one of the great Hoop Hall staffers will grab a few lucky fans and put you in a line to our right, your left. How much did you love New York? You loved it so much that you re-signed with the Knicks.
Oh man, that was the best part about it, because I negotiated that myself.
Yeah.
It was myself and Coach Van Gundy. I wanted to come back. And that's part of how I got rid of my agent. My agent was trying to get extra money from that deal, and I was like, I negotiated the deal myself. Van Gundy, we went through litigation and everything. Van Gundy told him, I never talked to his agent. John and I did the deal ourselves, so.
That's a Syracuse education going to work for you. That's nice. That's really nice. Clearly, the MSG connection is huge, and Toronto was a really, important experience for you. But you also have stops in Detroit, Phoenix, and Miami. And for guys who get the opportunity to play in some really different markets, those 5 markets are very, very different. Were there any one of those other stops, Phoenix, Detroit, Miami, that you wished could have lasted a little longer?
Only New York.
Yeah.
I love New York, man. I'm a New Yorker through and through. The Knicks are taking care of me to this day. It's incredible to be a part of the New York Knicks family. We have T-shirts, once a Knick, always a Knick, and that's just what it is, man. The other NBA teams, Miami's great weather, Phoenix great weather, but Nah, New York. If I could have played my whole career in New York, I think I'd have been a happier NBA player.
Yeah. I think the Knicks would have been happier too. All right, since your playing days have ended, you've stayed in the game in a couple of ways. Your basketball clinic a couple weeks ago, you had your basketball clinic in Central New York. Yeah. You do some fantastic youth ministry stuff. I want to talk to you about how important that service piece is to you, because you're a guy who, it strikes me, the basketball has been fun, has given you an incredible ability to see the world, but there's something bigger that John Wallace has always wanted to accomplish, isn't there?
Absolutely, and that's why I have my degree in sociology. Before I had any thoughts of playing in the NBA, I wanted to open up community centers on the borders of the urban and rural areas, trying to unite, people of different races and all that at an earlier age. So that was always like a goal of mine.
Yeah.
And the NBA sidetracked me, but I'm back. I'm back on course, and I've been doing that very heavily the last 10 years with Heavenly Productions, which is a foundation I'm part of. Winning Because I Tried, which is a foundation I'm proud of. In the last 10 years, I've spoken to over 50,000 kids over numerous events for the NBA, for the Knicks. It's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, because I was a kid that was, I'd sit around, I'd listen to the late, great JoJo White when he came to our camps and clinics in Rochester, New York. Hung on every word he said, because he was a pro. Yeah. He played for the Celtics, he won championships. So whatever word he told me about working out and playing hard, I listened to it. I remember Vinnie Johnson coming to talk to me after they won a title, and he came to talk to me at Dick's in Rochester, New York. Not to me, but to everyone. But to me, it was to me.
Sure.
I was like, Vinnie Johnson talked to me. You know what I mean? But and if I can kind of pay it forward and kind of return that, and if one or two kids hang on to a couple of words I say, then man, I'm a very happy man, because that's like your duty in life. Once someone does that for you, it's your job, and to give that back and pay it forward.
That's really inspiring, and I think it's safe to say that more than one or two kids have received that today. Absolutely. Thank you. My final question, before the hard ones come in out of the wings here, is you've accomplished so much. And yet I want you to try to put this moment into context for us. Here you are, center court, Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, couple hundred fans who came all this way to speak to you. You got Coach Boeheim still giving you the stink eye over there. What is this moment like for you, John?
Oh, it's awesome. I remember when I got the email to participate in this, I was all over it, couldn't wait to participate and come and share my story, so to speak, and be a part of the Basketball Hall of Fame. The journey for me started a long time ago in terms of the Basketball Hall of Fame, because I don't know if anyone in here is familiar with the Boston Shootout Tournament, but there used to be a tournament called the Boston Shootout back in the late 80s, early 90s, and it had all the best cities playing. And if you were able to win the MVP of that tournament back then, your jersey was in the Hall of Fame for a year. So my jersey was in the Hall of Fame from 92 to 93. So I actually beat all the class of 96 to the Hall of Fame. That's going to be one of my next trivia questions at one of my camps.
Yes. Yes. I hope they're all listening. That is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for number 44, Mr. John Wallace.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Now the fun continues with the hard questions. No pressure. I'm going to bring up the first question right here. I have two requests for you. One is that you introduce yourself to Mr. Wallace, let him know your name, where you're from, and then you let me hold the mic while you ask your question. Deal? All right, what's your name and where are you from, buddy?
Daniel, and I'm from New York.
Daniel, what's up, man? How you doing, buddy?
Daniel, what is your question?
What was the most points you've ever scored in a game?
NBA game? Most points I ever scored in an NBA game was 30 points, and I did that twice.
Thank you, Daniel. It's a great
Danny.
question. We'll keep it rolling. How's it going, buddy? What's your name and where are you from?
Brandon Connors from New York.
Brandon, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Brandon, what is your question? My question is, what was your favorite year of basketball?
Great question. My favorite year of basketball was probably my rookie year with the Knicks. It was all so new, and then just to have all those guys accept me and just to be a part of like learning the NBA game, and it was all so new and so great, and guys like Patrick Ewing and Starks and those guys were just so incredibly nice to me and receptive towards me, because I was the team funny guy. I made everyone laugh. I told jokes on everyone, so they all respected me after a while, but it took some time. But just that first year, the New York Knicks was awesome. Awesome. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Brandon. Let me see if we can go 3 in a row from New York. Let's see what we got here. What's your name? Where are you from?
Sammy, and I'm from New York.
New York.
Sam, what's your question?
My question is, did you have a player that motivated you when you were young?
Did I have a player that motivated me?
When you were young?
You know what? My motivation was always my mom in terms of my work ethic, because my mom, coming from a single parent, she worked 3 jobs, took care of me and my 2 younger brothers by herself. So my motivation was always my mom and seeing her work so hard all the time.
Thanks, bud. Can we go 4 in a row? Are we going to do this? What's your name? Where are you from?
Danny from New York.
Danny, what's up?
It's a big day. New York, stand up.
How did you feel when you first started playing? Like the first game? Were you scared?
My very first NBA game?
Yeah.
I've never been nervous, never scared. So I'm always prepared. So like I worked so hard and I did too much work to be scared in order to think I'm underprepared.
Yeah.
So I was always ready and couldn't wait for the moment. Not anxious, but ready and just couldn't wait to go out there and perform, but never scared, never scared.
And who was your favorite player to play with? Like, who was your best teammate?
My favorite teammate, well, I gotta say this all the time, unequivocally, the hardest working teammate I've ever been around was Patrick Ewing. No one worked harder than him. No matter what, no one worked harder than him. And my favorite teammate, and the guys I hung out with the most, probably like Latrell Sprewell, Stephon Marbury, those are like my closest friends, guys I still talk to this day all the time.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice meeting you.
All right, bring it on. I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even going to ask. What is your name and where in New York are you from?
My name is Shai, and I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
Joe, what's your question, bud?
What was your favorite team you've ever played in from the NBA?
My favorite NBA team I played for? The Knicks all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Thanks, buddy. All right, how's it going, bud? Good. What's your name and where are you from?
Josiah, and I'm from New York.
We'd have it
How you doing?
no other way. Josiah, what is your question for Mr. Wallace?
I know you say like you put in 10 hours a day of work. I just wanted to ask like what kept you motivated each day, like even days like when you was tired or you didn't like feel like putting in too much.
Well, first of all, I was never tired. You're too young to be tired, right? You're not allowed to be tired till you're 30-something, all right? Get that in your head first. Secondly, I had a guy by the name of Alvin Mobley that even when I was starting to get it like somewhat good, he was like 4 years older than me. He played at VCU, so he's a Division I player, and he used to destroy me every single day. And I'd have to say he at least beat me probably 1,500 times before I beat him once.
Wow.
Now, do you have that kind of intestinal fortitude? Because that guy, I went to knock on his door every day and ask for that beating. Every day I was like this, like, please, can we play again? Because the way I'm wired, every day I thought it was going to be the day I was going to win, even though I lost the prior day 11-zip, 11-1, 11-1, 11-zip.
Wow.
So, but then what I found out was I finally beat him my junior year in high school. And after I beat him like 3, 4, 5 times, he didn't want to play no more. So who was tough, me or him? Because I went through 1,500 losses.
Yeah.
He went through 5, he's like, yeah, I'm good. And he never beat me again.
Wow.
So like the 10 hours, like you got to buy into it because you're young, man. Like, and you got to like, what else you doing? You got a job?
No.
You have kids?
No.
You have, so like those are the only things that can kind of take you from getting in at least 10 hours a day. You got school sometimes 8 hours. You got 8 hours of sleep, right? So that leaves how many hours left in a day?
10.
No, 8. Simple math, 8. And we'll take 2 hours of that sleep away from you, and now you got 10 hours of basketball right there, my man.
Thank you, Josiah. That is how you finish an appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, John Wallace.
Thank you so much. No more questions? We're done? All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much. Now, as I said, the fun continues.